Back in gaming's early days, it's arguable to say that developers were a bit more creative. Today, it seems like most AAA games target mimicking the real world. Some add a few fantasy elements to the mix, but it still feels akin to our own world. When you look back at the classics, the majority of them were as unrealistic as could be. They wanted to be completely abstract and weird. I think that's a good description for RunGunJumpGun. It's just one big acid trip. Most games have a difficulty curve to them, but there are certain titles which are notorious for driving the average player mad and inducing the famous rage quit performance. RunGunJumpGun is most certainly one of those games. Seriously, if you're a sore loser, then it would be your best bet to stay as far away as possible from this game as you can. Nothing about this game really makes sense. It's not that it's a bad design or anything, it's actually a bit creative. When I say it doesn't make sense, I mean that it just goes unbelievably far outside of the realm of normal. Earlier, I described it as being akin to that of an acid trip. It really does feel like that, but there's more to it. It also feels like a nightmare, not because it's scary, but because it's just so dark and out of control. So combine that atmosphere with its rage-inducing gameplay and you have yourself the perfect recipe for madness. The name of the game speaks for itself. This title is all about running and jumping, all while wielding a giant Gatling gun. If you're into shooters, then this probably isn't exactly what you might have in mind. You see, as powerful as this gun is, it's not used to kill any creatures. What it is used for is to propel you off the ground and blow obstacles out of your way. Really, the game only uses two buttons. Yes, two. There's one to point the gun downward to propel you off of the ground, and the other to point it forward to clear the path ahead. While that sounds pretty simple, believe me, it is so far from that. As mentioned earlier, if you're a sore loser, then you should really avoid this game. From the very beginning, you have just about every and anything hurtling towards you, and it's your goal to avoid it and make it to the end of the level. There are 120 in all, so hope you enjoy dying. Scattered throughout each level are green orbs called atomics. They don't give you any special power-up or anything, but they do act as the game's primary collectible. Each level contains a unique amount. Your goal is to try and collect every one of them, but that's much easier said than done. Each level is filled to the brim with obstacles and hazards, from spikes covering the ceilings and floors to cannons firing at you every second, and giant chainsaws hurtling out of the ground. This game has no shortage of things to kill you. It's great that there is no blood and gore, because it would be a pretty stomach-churning experience if that were the case. Really, you don't even die. Getting damaged results in a one-hit KO, and you're immediately warped back to the beginning of the level to start again. There's no health bar or life counter either, so you're free to mess up as much times as possible, and you'll be doing a whole lot of that. The thing about this game is that each of its levels are really only a few seconds long. Where the longevity comes in is the fact that you can, and most likely will, die a few dozen times in most of these levels. RunGunJumpGun is all about exercising your reflexes. Every second, every move, it all counts. Since you aren't actually controlling your character's forward motion, there's no way to put on the brakes and correct a mistake. The game doesn't allow you to make a mistake. One wrong move and zap, you're back to the beginning. If you get frustrated enough, the game gives you a bit of solace by allowing you to skip ahead. Now, you may not want to do that. Maybe you're a completionist, or you can't swallow your pride to admit defeat to a game. Either that, or you're probably just a masochist. With its maddening gameplay, this title also has equally insane presentation. As mentioned earlier, it's like one big acid trip. Just crazy nightmare fuel. The characters have weird designs, the music is good but has such a weird style, and the color palette is dark and gritty. There really isn't one bit of normal to be seen or heard in this game. It's just all over the place. But that's really a good thing. It matches the equally insane gameplay so perfectly. It basically completes the experience. In addition to the retro-inspired visuals, this is what brings RunGunJumpGun in line with the classic titles. It's not trying to be realistic at all. It's just trying to be creative. I definitely have to give the developers credit for that. So, as crazy as this whole game is, how good is it? Well, it's pretty good actually. Aside from the fact that you're probably going to be doing a bit of damage to your keyboard or controller, the game is genuinely well put together. Die-hard completionists will primarily have a field day with this game as they seek to conquer each level. If you're looking for a game to challenge your skill, then this is definitely a good choice. I actually ended up reviewing this game by accident. The review code that I was given was supposed to be for another, much more different game than this, but stuff happened. I had no foreknowledge of this whatsoever before installing it, so my experience from the very beginning was totally blind. The game's title had me thinking that it was going to be another typical shooting game, but it most certainly is nothing like that. RunGunJumpGun is weird, crazy, masochistic fun for anyone who doesn't enjoy keeping their sanity.